Yo, what's up guys? Teacher Paul over here, and today we are traveling to San Francisco, USA. This was recommended by one of the members here called Mayz. She has been a member for 3 months now. I live in San Francisco, USA, one of the most popular places for travel. Okay, so if you want me to travel to your city, then you can just become a member by clicking join, and let's go. Let's see what San Francisco has to offer. So first of all, we're going to start out with the history of San Francisco in 5 minutes, and then we're going to move on to a few different things like tourist attractions, and let's just see San Francisco in 5 minutes animated.
Starting overnight as the base for the gold rush of 1849, San Francisco quickly became the largest and most important population, commercial, naval, and financial center in the American West. Welcome to our animated show of history. This episode presents how San Francisco became the financial and technological center in the American West. The earliest evidence of human habitation in what is now the city of San Francisco dates to 3000 BC. Native Americans who settled in this region found the bay to be a resource for hunting and gathering, leading to the establishment of many small villages. Collectively, these early Native Americans are now known as the Ohlone, and the language they spoke belonged to the Miwok family. Their trade patterns included places as far away as Baja California, the Mojave Desert, and Yosemite. The earliest Europeans to reach the site of San Francisco were a Spanish exploratory party in 1769, led overland from Mexico by Don Gaspar de Partola and Fra Juan Crespi. The Spanish recognized the location with its large natural harbor to be of great strategic significance. A subsequent expedition led by Juan Bautista de Anza selected sites for military and religious settlements in 1774.
Okay, so is the name San Francisco from, because of the Spanish? I mean, it is a Spanish name, right?
In the early 19th century, whaling ships and traders came to the bay. Then in 1821, Mexico, which included California, gained independence from Spain and became a republic. Then in 1828, Jedediah Smith crossed the Sierra Nevada mountains to reach San Francisco Bay. An Englishman called William Richardson founded a settlement by San Francisco Bay in 1835. He called it Yerba Buena. During the 1830s and early 1840s, many Americans came to live in the new settlement. Then in 1864, the USA annexed California. On July 9, 1846, USS Portsmouth sailed into San Francisco Bay, and sailors and Marines went ashore and raised the U.S. flag. The little settlement of Yerba Buena was renamed San Francisco after the bay on the 30th of January, 1847. At that time, San Francisco only had a population of about 800. The California Gold Rush started in 1848 after a man named James Marshall discovered gold. It led to a large boom in population, including considerable immigration. Between January 1848 and December 1849, the population of San Francisco increased from 1,000 to 25,000.
Wow. So here's the thing. I have friends who live in California, and they tell me it's all Spanish. I mean, there are so many Spanish communities, and now I understand why.
The population boom included many workers from China who came to work in the gold mines and later on the Transcontinental Railroad.
Wow.
The Chinatown district of the city became and is still one of the largest in the country. This rapid growth complicated city planning efforts, leaving a legacy of narrow streets that continues to characterize the city to this day. By 1853, the gold bloom.
What? That is so narrow. Look at that. How can you? So are these houses built in the hills?
That continues to characterize the city to this day. By 1853, the gold bloom was ending. Then in 1859, Henry Comstock discovered silver. Unlike gold, the silver required expensive equipment to extract, so a number of silver barons were the main beneficiaries. Meanwhile, businessmen dreamed of a transcontinental railroad. It was completed in 1869. During the late 19th century, San Francisco continued to develop. In 1870, San Francisco had a population of almost 150,000. By 1900, San Francisco had a population of over 300,000. On April 18, 1906, a devastating earthquake resulted in the rupture of over 270 miles of the San Andreas Fault from San Juan Bautista to Eureka, centered immediately offshore of San Francisco.
Wow.
The quake is estimated by the USGS to have had a magnitude of 7.8 on the Richter scale. Water mains ruptured throughout San Francisco, and the fires that followed burned out of control for days, destroying approximately 80% of the city, including almost all of the downtown core. Afterwards, about 28,000 buildings were destroyed and 250,000 people were made homeless.
Wow.
The exact number of dead is not known. Yet after the
I had
earthquake,
no
San
idea.
Francisco was rebuilt. Many brand new buildings were erected in the early 20th century. Halliday Building was erected in 1917. St. Peter and Paul Church was built in 1924. Coit Tower was built in 1933. Work on the Golden Gate Bridge began in 1934 and it opened on the 27th of May, 1937. During World War II, San Francisco was the major mainland supply point and port of embarkation for the war in the Pacific. It also saw the largest and oldest enclave of Japanese outside of Japan. Japantown completely emptied out many of its residents as a result of Executive Order 9066 that forced all Japanese of birth or descent in the United States to be interned. After World War II, the city continued to develop as a major business city throughout the 20th century.
I had no idea.
Starting in the latter half of the 1960s, San Francisco became the city most famous for the hippie movement. In recent decades, San Francisco has become an important center of finance and technology. The high demand for housing driven by its proximity to Silicon Valley and the low supply of available housing has led to the city being one of America's most expensive places to live. San Francisco is currently ranked 9th on the Global Financial Centers Index. Thank you for watching. Please check out our other animations on history and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Wow. Yeah, so I've seen so many movies about like the hippie movement and stuff like that. And if I'm not mistaken, I've seen one called The Trial of Chicago 7. I think they went to San Francisco to protest. I'm not sure. There was a convention. I don't know where. I don't think that it was in Chicago. I don't know. I can't remember. I know that 7 groups came from somewhere, and I think one of them was in San Francisco. I don't know. It's a great movie, and I think San Francisco was part of it. Can't remember where they were from though. But in any case, I've heard about that. We're gonna watch another video of the history of San Francisco, and from what I understand, this is the evolution of the buildings. And then we're gonna go to things that, things you can do in San Francisco. So we don't have any pictures, obviously. We just have maps of 1810, 1850, full of boats. 1860. 1870. 1880. Wow. 1890. The horses came in. The chariots. Well, not a chariot, but the 1900s. This is when the Industrial Revolution started to play, right? 1910 started to come into play. 1915. 1920. I'm probably gonna get copyrighted because of this background song. 1930s. Trains or trams were available. Cars. 1937. Wow. $1940, the bridge. 1950, we have color. Roosevelt. 1955. It's getting bigger. 1960. 1965, City Paris. 1970. So you can see that it's full of mountains. It's a very mountainous city. You can see the hills going up and down. Full of cars already. 1975. 1980s. Wow. 1985. Look at that. It feels like I'm watching Age of Empires. 1990s. 1996. Can't wait to see 2021. Or 2020 at least. The 2000s. I think they could get a better picture, right? But okay, I'll take it. 2005. 2010. Huge. That in the middle, is that like the main road? It splits in two. 2020. Look at that skyline. Beautiful. Wow. That is amazing. That is amazing. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is the travel guide, best places to visit in San Francisco.
San Francisco is one of the most beautiful cities in the United States and the jewel of Northern California. The city is full of history, great neighborhoods, parks, beaches, museums, and a whole host of entertainment options and things to do. San Francisco is quickly becoming one of the most visited cities in the US, and it's easy to see. The city by the bay packs a lot of fun into just a 7-mile by 7-mile area. With an eclectic mix of neighborhoods.
Is that building smiling? Over here, can you see that? That's a smiling building. The one with the cone head. It's a smiling building. There's a smiley face. It really is a smiley face building.
Area. With an eclectic mix of neighborhoods, there's truly something for everyone in San Francisco. From the rugged coastline and the redwood tree-filled parks to the busy streets of the city itself, there's plenty to do. With so much to do in this amazing city, let us take a look at the best things to do in San Francisco.
The lights,
one.
everything.
Golden Gate Bridge. Between San Francisco Bay and Marin County is the world-famous Golden Gate Bridge. The bridge has been declared one of the modern wonders of the world. It was opened in 1937, and at that time it was the longest suspension bridge ever created. Made from steel and with a total length of 1.7 miles, it is the most photographed bridge anywhere in the world. There are 6 lanes of traffic on the bridge carrying millions of passengers every year. Before the bridge was built, people used to have to get a ferry between the two places. The ferry company was called Golden State Ferry Company, and at one point it was the largest ferry company on the planet. 2.
Probably still can.
Alcatraz Island. 1.25 miles off the San Francisco shoreline sits Alcatraz Island. Tour what was once a federal penitentiary that held the nation's most dubious criminals and enjoy a picturesque boat ride off the coast to travel there and back. Although accessible from the mainland in as little as 15 minutes by ferry, Alcatraz felt exceptionally isolated for those who were imprisoned there, and it was famous for letting no prisoners escape alive. It was also the site of a 19-month-long occupation by Native Americans activists. 3. Fisherman's Wharf. One of the most popular tourist attractions in San Francisco and even the US, Fisherman's Wharf runs all the way from Pier 39 through to Municipal Pier at the end of Aquatic Park. For over a century, its historic waterfront was the hub of San Francisco's fishing fleet and is still famous for having some of the best seafood restaurants in the city. Other tourist attractions at the wharf include museums, souvenir stores, historical buildings, scenic vistas over the bay, and the famous sea lions at Pier 39. 4. Ride the cable cars. Cable cars were introduced in 1873 to help locals contend with the many hills the city is built on. Today, the few remaining cable cars offer tourists a great way to explore the city in historic fashion. Since 1964, these tram-like vehicles have had the unique distinction of being the only public transport system to be declared a historic monument. The Powell Mason and Powell Height are the most scenic routes. If you are planning on more than a couple of rides or are going to be sightseeing for a few days, you should consider buying a pass. 5.
That is
Chinatown. San Francisco's Chinatown.
That is so surreal that they have to manually rotate they call it a cable car, right? That is so surreal.
Is the oldest Chinatown in North America and the largest one outside of Asia.
Wow.
So yes, you need to see it. This particular neighborhood was created due to the large number of Chinese immigrants in San Francisco during the 1800s. With cultural elements such as the Bank of Canton and the Sing Chong building, as well as authentic culinary wonders such as dim sum, you'll soon lose track of time meandering through Chinatown's streets. 6. Palace of Fine Arts. The only structure remaining from the 1915 World's Fair, the Palace of Fine Arts features a classical Roman rotunda with curved colonnades situated in an idyllic park setting with a classical European-style lagoon.
And a bit
It's a great place to unwind, have a picnic, and watch the swans float elegantly by. It also has a theater offering a variety of shows, musical and cultural events. 7. Twin Peaks. The Twin Peaks in San Francisco are a world-famous tourist attraction and offer spectacular views of the Bay Area. Wow. The peaks were initially called Los Pechos de la Choca, meaning breasts of the maiden. The two peaks are adjacent to each other and stand at 922 feet.
Name.
There are animals and plants in abundance, and as you make your way to the top you are sure to see plenty. Apart from the peaks, there is a 64-acre park that gives you an idea of how San Francisco looked before the development we see today.
Brazil.
8. Golden Gate National Recreation Area. Golden Gate National Recreation Area, not to be confused with Golden Gate Park, is a huge natural area located across the Golden Gate Bridge from downtown San Francisco. This 600-square-mile park in Marin County is a designated biosphere reserve and home to a myriad of attractions. It is also simply a beautiful place to enjoy nature and relax. The park has walking trails, campgrounds, picnic areas, and beautiful beach areas. Some of the beaches have fabulous views of the Golden Gate Bridge. The park is also a place of history and home to the historic Fort Baker, a former U.S. Army post from the early 20th century. 9. Golden Gate Park. If California had a Central Park equivalent, Golden Gate Park would undoubtedly be it. Though Golden Gate Park sees a small fraction of the visitors its New York counterpart does, Central Park welcomes upward of 25 million. While Golden Gate sees more than 13 million yearly, it's about 174 acres bigger. Central Park is 843 acres. Wow. The park offers so much to see and do, it could take an entire day to experience all that it has to offer.
I've been to Central Park.
Picturesque picnic spaces, playgrounds, sports courts, gardens, museums and more can be found within its evergreen borders. With so many options available, it's best to map out ahead of time what you want to do, though some attractions warrant a visit, regardless of traveler taste. 10. Napa Valley. Less than 1.5 hours from San Francisco, Napa Valley and Sonoma Valley are the two best known and largest grape-growing areas in California. Many people day trip to this area to enjoy the scenery and stop in at some of the sites along the way. Situated at the southern end of the valley of the same name, some 52 miles from San Francisco, Napa is one of the largest Californian towns north of San Francisco.
Different shades of green.
This is an incredibly scenic area with a drier climate than the coastal regions. It was founded in 1848 and bears the name of the long-extinct Napa Indians. The western boundary is formed by the Napa Mountains.
Wow.
The Howell Mountains form the eastern boundary of Napa County and they also protect the valley from storms.
That's it? That's how they end the video? Okay. Guys, I guess that's it for today. We visited San Francisco. It's amazing. An amazing place. Got a lot of things to do. The evolution, the history is amazing as well. I didn't know that San Francisco had a different... you see, the thing is, when we talk about countries being colonized, we normally think, you know, they were colonized by a specific country, but from what I understood, different parts of America was had different, you know, they had the Spaniards, the British. They were like, you know, it's not like in Brazil that um, the majority was Portuguese. So it's quite interesting to see the emigration that happened in California, Mexico, Spain, and then New York. I think it was the British, the Italians. It's such a mix, and it's very interesting. And seeing the evolution of the city, you know, going from basically a very small place with small houses to a huge city. That is so amazing. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, this reaction, and hey, let me know if you want me to visit your country, your city. Let me know in the comments. You have to be a member for me to go to your city. So click on join if you want me to go there and visit with you guys reacting. Since we can't travel right now, we're doing this virtually. But one day when I get back to traveling, I will start vlogging from the countries I visit. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care now. Peace out. Bye bye.